Namaste. Hello, everybody. I'm making this video on demand, and the demand has come from my son who is in middle school. A few days back, when I was making a video on yoga, he was just sitting on the couch next to me and listening. And when I was done making that video, he tells me, Mama, you should make a video for children, for school children. And I was like, what about the children should I make this video? And he was like, how they can get over the stress and anxiety that they have. And I was like, okay. And I knew where it was coming from because just a few days back we've had a conversation when he was really, really stressed about some school project where he was participating with other children. And although he felt that he has prepared amply, somehow he was thinking that it will not come out well the way he wanted, and something will go wrong, they will stutter, or you know all of that. And I had a good conversation with him. I helped him ease down and get over his stress and anxiety. And so he felt that I should talk about it. And I don't know how you would respond to this. I don't know whether you would be saying that, yeah, this is good, or whether you would be wondering that stress, and that too in our school children. But yeah, it is. I have noticed and observed that stress or anxiety isn't just a phenomena that happens with adults. It's something which is so natural to all of us in whichever age and stage we are. Like when my son was younger, he had a lot of social anxiety. He would take a lot of time to uh, get to know people or get comfortable with people he did not know earlier, or even to go to places where he hasn't been earlier, so that he would worry quite a lot about all of those things, and he would ask me a lot of questions to ensure and to make sure that he's secure, he's safe, and that he will be well in those situations. And now that he's come to middle school, and now that they get homeworks and the tests are there and the academic rigor is increasing, sometimes he gets very stressed about his performance. So now social anxiety has converted into a performance anxiety where he worries that whether I'll be able to perform well, or whether I'll be able to really succeed the way I want to. And it sometimes makes me feel so emotional that even when, as parents, we do not put the pressure of our expectations on these children, the pressure of our judgments and our opinions on them, it's not like their life is all hunky dory and really smooth. I believe and I have seen that children are very, very sensitive. They are very observant. They sometimes pick up certain things from their surroundings, from home, school, while playing with other friends, as to how the world functions. What are the things that are appreciated? What are the things that are recognized and acknowledged? And how do they need to be in the world? And that is a constant pressure on these still growing minds, still growing up and trying to make sense of the world around them. So, what can we do? What can we do as parents or as teachers to really help and support these young children to not get stressed or not get anxious? And what is in it for us to learn and to take away for ourselves so that we can manage our own stresses and anxieties very well? So, a few things that I have learned while taking care while bringing up my both the children, now a teenager and a middle schooler, is that uh, it's normal to be stressed and anxious at times. And in a situation where you are stressed or where you are anxious about something, the last thing you want somebody to say to you is like, why are you stressed? Or, what is there to be stressed about in this? That straight away is a judgment. That straight away is a minimization of how somebody is feeling in the current moment. So please don't do that. If you find anybody around you feeling stressed or anxious, don't ask them these questions. Be careful, be mindful not to minimize them or not to tell them that, that they should know better. This is not such a big deal to be stressing over. Because clearly, their mind is functioning in a different manner. And the last thing you want to do is to also seed another doubt in somebody's mind that I don't know what is important for me or what is not. Because one very positive thing that we learn and we understand from somebody being stressed and anxious is that we only get stressed and anxious about those situations where there is some sort of an investment that we have in those things, right? We have some connection. For example, if I don't care about much about academic performance, it wouldn't bother me whether I get 90% or whether I get 80%, which means that that is not an area I'm invested into. However, whether I get to perform well on stage or not is my area of interest, so it would really matter, right, for me. So if I'm not chosen to perform in some event I really wanted to, that could be a cause of stress for me. That could be a cause of anxiety for me. So for all of us, there are different ways and different reasons to get stressed and anxious. And one thing is that whatever somebody is getting stressed about tells you something very important about that person. That this person really cares and really have put in a lot of heart into something that they're getting stressed about. So, no minimization. Second thing is understand what the stress and anxiety is. Stress or anxiety is a state of mind where your mind has already sort of made a decision, and most of the times it's a negative decision. That's why the stress about some event that hasn't even happened yet or that is about to happen, but our mind has gone ahead in the future and made some decision like, oh, I am not going to clear this interview, I am not going to pass this test, or I will do terribly in this test, or I will not get to speak to this person, right? Some event that's either going to happen or not happen in future, our mind has already created an outcome for that, and that is an undesirable outcome and it is stressing us. So the first and a very powerful counter to getting out of stress and anxiety is to come back in the present moment, to bring back our attention, which our mind has hijacked our entire attention to some imaginary incident or outcome. We need to bring it back in the present moment. So to sit with the person, help them breathe in deep, because sometimes when people get stressed or anxious, they hyperventilate as well. Their breathing gets really abnormal. So if you can help them breathe normal, calm down, pat them, or caress them, or just try and bring their attention to their body or things around them, or to you while you're saying like, okay, so look at me, I am talking to you, and you be really with the person so that all of their attention can come to the present moment where they are. So, first thing is you need to help a person come back from that hijacked state to the present state. And when they have come to a normal space, when they are not crying or hyperventilating, when they are breathing normally, breathing fine, just hear them out. Ask them simple questions which help them to talk everything, like what have they been imagining, what have they been thinking about it, but it hasn't happened yet, is it? What did you think of this outcome to be? For example, once I remember when my son was really stressed about his maths test, and which hasn't happened yet. So I just asked him, I said, what's making you think that you will not do well in the test? And I said, have you not prepared well? He said, no, I have practiced. I have prepared. I said, then what is it that's making you feel like? I said, do you think you would not be able to pay attention when the test was happening? And it dawns on him. And he said, yeah, I need to be really calm during the time of my test because otherwise I will not be paying attention to what I'm doing. And he realized that if he stays stressed, it's actually going to impact his real performance and make his fear come true. And so he sort of understood by himself. I didn't say this to him, I just asked him a question and he could get that, he could understand that. And then I told him, I said, and I went a step ahead and say, okay, so what do you think will happen even if you do not perform the way you want to perform in that test? Would that be really such a dire situation? I was like, no, I can always improve later. And I was like, exactly. So, having an open conversation, allowing that space to the person to speak out their mind, whatever is going on, whatever stories they are making in their mind, whatever assumptions they are creating, and gently, very lovingly challenge those assumptions. Help them see the reality of the situation, help them make the right mindful decisions and choices. And that is something which you can do for people who go through stress and anxiety, whether they are young children, whether they are adults or grown up people. Do not question or judge or minimize them. Help them first normalize, come back to the present situation, make use of the breath, the things around, the sensory elements, their own body, to bring them to the present moment, and then talk, listen, and ask questions that can really help them make sense of how they have been thinking about it. Because it's all in the way we think about life and we think about situations. And our thoughts are something that are in our control. We can always change our thoughts. So if you can do this for whether they are your children or whether they are your students or whether they are your partners, friends, or people around you, that would be a huge help for them. And one more point I want to bring here, which I learned when I was going through the training of youth coaching, is that the part of our brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for the logical, rational, reasonable thinking, is the part which develops at the latest in our life. So, and that is the part which starts to develop when we get into our teenage, which isn't even yet fully developed in the teenagers. That is why teenagers sometimes are bound to make these very irrational life choices, consuming alcohol or rash driving, or they have a very low sense of fear in them. So, younger children, imagine they don't even have this logical, rational thinking capacity in them. So, they cannot self regulate when you need logic and rationality, right? So they would always be depending upon parents and teachers and mentors to guide them and really help them take through that stressful and anxious situation to a normal situation where they can really change and alter their state of mind. And because it's a faculty which is not developed in them, be mindful that you may need to do this over and over again with them. So it's not like once you've sort of sat and given them time and spoken to them about how to come out of stress and anxiety and then they are able to self regulate. No. Maybe tomorrow they get worried and stressed about something else. And then the third time about something else. And maybe you need to go over with the same process with them 15, 20, 30 times before they learn that process by themselves. They learn to shift their thought patterns by themselves. They learn to self regulate and take themselves out of the stress and anxiety. So hold patience and understand that they're not just doing this because they don't understand it or they don't want to do it. It is because their brains haven't developed to that capacity yet that they can self regulate. So that's all I wanted to talk about stress and anxiety in children and what could be some of the ways that we can really help support them to get over their stress and anxiety. Take lessons for yourself as well. If you ever find yourself getting stressed and anxious, identify what are your triggers. What is it that takes you into that negative spiral loop of thought pattern? And that you have the capacity to change your thought, to change your thinking pattern, and bring yourself back from the stressful, anxious state of being to a more calm and enabling state of mind. I'll show it to my son and I'll see what he says about this video. But I'd be equally keen to know what do you think about this video. If you like it, do tell me. If you don't like it, tell me anyways. If you have any questions, suggestions, recommendations, please feel free to share with me. I'll be very happy to hear from you. And if you like my content, please share it with other people, subscribe, and help my voice reach many more people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, wonderful night, wherever you are. I'll see you in a couple of days.